Hey, what's going on everybody? James here, and we are back with another video today. So we're going to be talking about when should you buy yourself a watch? We talk about buying watches, where to buy, how to buy, all those topics, but we don't often talk about when to buy. So today that's the topic that we're going to dive into. And if you have not visited my channel before, I want to say, first of all, thanks for stopping by. I do really appreciate you being here. So if you enjoy this type of content, please like the video. It does help the algorithm. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed so that you see whenever I post these types of videos. And, comment down below. I'm always curious about your thoughts on this and when have you bought yourself various watches in your collection. So, and again, my goal for you is that you get out of watches, whatever it is that you want to get out of watches so that you can know and love the watches you have and be a satisfied watch collector. So with that being said, let's dive in. When should you buy yourself a watch? I've got two watches on the table here, and we're going to talk about the personal examples that I have of when I have followed some of these things that I'm going to talk about. So the first one is Milestones. And I'm going to work backwards in terms of my collection here. I'll talk more about that later, but Milestones. When you have a milestone in your life that is meaningful, a watch is something that often can be used to mark that. Whether it's an age milestone, you turn in a certain age and you say, you know what, I'm going to celebrate with getting myself a nice watch. It may be something family related. Maybe it's a relationship or a marriage, or you have a child. I know a lot of collectors that they buy a watch to commemorate the birth of a child in their family, and that's obviously super meaningful to them. It could be a promotion at work. We all work, we all have careers, we're all doing different things, and sometimes you really take the time and you put in the effort and the hours and the extra energy to get the promotion that you've been wanting at work, and it just happens. You finally get there, and it's like, man, what better way to commemorate that type of success than buying yourself a watch. And then there could be something just more in the general sense of like, a business success. If you run a business or a personal success, it could be recovering from something, right? You've been sober for 10 years. That's an amazing accomplishment, right? It could be a great occasion to buy a watch. Or a business success, right? You hit a certain level of sales, hit a certain level of customers, right? Whatever type of business that you're in. So lots of different milestones that may be relevant to when you might want to acquire yourself a watch. So I'll share the story of this one personally for me, and that is going through cancer a couple years ago, which I never in a million years thought that would be something that I would experience, but I did. And it was a really, honestly, just annoying time. Going to chemo every other week and doing all those treatments and things like that, and the little mini surgeries that you had to have and all that sort of stuff. I don't recommend. 10 out of 10 do not recommend. But that is the story of this watch, because initially I had put in a request for this watch. So this is my Dan Reuter DR02. This is part of the Talking Time with Tim Masso group edition, and you can see it engraved on the rotor there because Dan was kind enough to do that for us. So this was a group watch, and it became available, and I was super jazzed, right? And I was excited to get one, and then I found out that I had cancer. And then I went through a whole bunch of treatments, and I went through a whole bunch of medical expenses and things like that, and I just couldn't do it. And so it took probably about 9-10 months or so for that all to go on, and me to be in remission, and everything is fine now, obviously, because here I am making this video. But I remember emailing Dan after that happened. Dan Reuter, who makes these watches, is a fantastic guy. If you've never heard of the brand, it's not a huge brand, but he's got a really loyal following out there, me being one, and the watches are just phenomenal. You can see the lacquered dial here, this ETA 7750 movement and chronograph here that he then hand polishes and hand finishes like crazy. And sorry for the dirty case, but you can see that I wear my watches, as I always like to say. But so it's a beautiful watch, beautifully finished, and the straps that he uses on these, just absolutely phenomenal. This is a darker version of the original alligator leather strap. And it's got this nice minderless system that just folds right under, so you don't have to worry about that. Just a fantastic watch. So, but this was my cancer journey watch, and I will never forget that that is what this commemorates, and that was the experience of it. So that could be a big reason to buy yourself a watch. So those are all very great reasons. Now, let's talk about one other one, and I only have two that I'm going to talk about because I'm also going to give another answer towards the end here. So another reason to buy a watch would be, you know what? You're just financially in a spot where you can do that. Now, to be fair, I think there are other factors, right? There was an age factor with this one, but there could be just a time that the budget allows for getting a watch. You've been working hard, you've been diligent, you've done the math, you've been doing your saving, and you say to yourself, you know what? This is what I'm working towards. This is my financial goal that I'm working towards, is to get myself a nice watch. Maybe it's to commemorate something, maybe it's not, but either way, it's a good reason. Being financially ready is sometimes the only reason you need to buy a watch. So it could be, again, you've just been budgeting and saving. Maybe you get like a nice bonus at work. You come into some sort of an inheritance, right? Where you end up getting a little bit of money that you weren't expecting to get. Could be a great time to buy yourself a watch. Now, I'm a big proponent, of course, be financially responsible. Don't just blow it all on a watch if you're getting a bonus or you're getting an inheritance or something like that, right? But I think it's okay to take a part of that and say, you know what, I'm going to take this part of it. Maybe I'm going to save or invest or do whatever else I'm going to do, pay off some debt. But with some of it, I'm going to buy myself a watch. And I do think that is a great reason to do it. So this watch is my Rolex Sky Dweller. You've seen it before. It is still one of my absolute favorite watches in the collection. Dual time, 2 time zones, essentially, annual calendar watch. And it's just phenomenal. Great case shape. It is a little bit of a bigger watch on my wrist in particular, but I don't care because it's beautiful and I love the blue, and I just think they knocked it out of the park with the design on this watch. So for me, I was turning 30 years old, and it was kind of a combination of a lot of those things. I mean, I was basically working 3 jobs and, I had moved up in my career and, was hustling my side hustle, just doing everything that I was doing at the time. And, I got to a point when I saw one of these come available, and I went for it. I just went for it because I was like, you know what? I'm turning 30 this year. It's a great year to do it. I know I'm on a good financial trajectory here, and it's just the right time. And so this was my 30-year birthday gift to myself, that I worked really hard for, worked my butt off for. And I think it's, again, relative to wherever you are in your station in life. And maybe you wouldn't spend this much on a watch. Maybe it would be more, but maybe it'd be less. And either one of those is okay. So it's not about what brand it is. It's not about, I talk a lot about how I picked the watches that I picked in other videos, so you can listen to those if you want. But really for me, it was my first entry into luxury watches, and I will never get rid of it. It is fantastic. I love it. I wear it often, and it serves me well and has for many, many years. So those are 2 of my personal reasons. What else would you buy a watch? Sometimes you may already be in collecting and it's time to exit from watches. Now, I don't know that this actually exists. I think it's probably a myth, but maybe you've said to yourself, you know what, I'm done. I've gotten everything that I want to get, and I've worn them for a while, and I'm consolidating down to one watch or a couple watches, and then I'm exiting. I'm trading in a few of the less expensive ones I have for an expensive one, whatever it is, and I'm exiting the watch space. Now, again, I don't know that people actually do this. I think there are collectors that do it. I don't know that it will ever be my thing, but who knows? I mean, the journey is always an evolution, and that's kind of the fun of it. So my ultimate answer to this question, when should you buy yourself a watch? I don't think there's a right or wrong reason. Again, I do think that you should be financially responsible about it if you're going to do it. Always have a plan, pay for it in cash as much as possible, and know what you're doing, know what you're getting. Insure your watches. I mean, for gosh sake, we have these really nice, expensive things. If you can't pay for insurance on it so that if worst case scenario happens, you'd at least get your money back for it, What are we doing here? So I do definitely recommend that. So that is what I've got for you. Those are my thoughts on when you should buy yourself a watch. So again, I've got my Rolex and my Dan Reuter here, two beautiful blue dial watches. You all know I love blue dials. And those are my thoughts on when you should buy yourself a watch. So thank you so much for stopping by. Again, my goal for you is that you get out of watches whatever it is that you want to get out of watches so that you can know and love the watches you have and be a satisfied watch collector. So thank you so much for stopping by. Please like and comment and subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.